One of the most frustrating things for a turkey hunter who's trying to kill turkeys with a bow is to set up exactly like you think you're supposed to set up, exactly like you've seen work so often on TV, and only to have the turkey spook off of something. And it leaves you scratching your head a lot of times wondering, did they spook off the decoy? Did they spook off the blind? What am I dealing with here? And it can lead to a lot of frustration and a lot of bad hunts, especially when you're kind of confused on exactly what they did spook off of. And this is coming more of a common occurrence as more and more people are taking to the woods with bow and arrows and blinds and decoys, and especially on public land where there's a lot of pressure, you're starting to see a lot more birds spook off the blind decoy set. And I've been at this a long time, and one of the things I was kind of fortunate is I'm hunting in Alabama. I'm already hunting a very spooky birds. What I've been able to determine is that a lot of times it's not the blinds and a lot of times it's not the decoys, but it's a combination of the both of them. When turkeys can see both the blind and the decoys clearly, they literally can put two and two together. And so that creates a situation where if you can take one of those out of the equation, if you can either find a place that's good enough that you don't have to use decoys, or either find a place to brush your blind in. And one of the reasons I've been so successful over the years is I have always hunted a turkey that I considered to be so wary here in Alabama that I've always had the tendency to brush my blind in. I've never used one of the wide open sets. I never set up on the edge of the field. I set up back in the woods. I do a lot to try to make sure that the blind is hidden, but from time to time there's just not time to set up real good, not time to hide, and I've had some situations where the turkeys did spook, and I really believe it's the combination of the two. And I'm going to take a look at a hunt here where the turkey, obviously, to me, I think he had already seen the decoys. I think he was coming into the decoys, and I think he was fine with the decoys. But once he got to a certain point where the blind was visible to him, the blind was skylined and it wasn't hid, and that's when I got a really strong reaction from this turkey. And I think this case, this one was spooking off the blind. Back in a flash. Whew, he didn't like what he saw. I don't know what he saw. He didn't like. Get out and show you just how unblinded I am. Top pin smackdown. But I just came in here and set up quick because this turkey hammered. I was cutting and running, and this turkey hammered and gobbled right back at me, and I'm afraid he was coming quick. He sounded pretty close, and I just come in and set up quick, and I knew when I set up it might cause trouble because I wasn't brushed in very good at all, and I really didn't have a background. That was the main thing from where the turkey was. My blind was skylined. Bad scenario.
I should have been somewhere besides where I was. I should have been more over there in the brush or over here under some good cover. And I just decided to put it in the wide open, and I know everybody sees it, you know, blinds in the wide open all the time, but this is Alabama, baby. It's a little bit different down here. You got to play by their rules. And had I been really hid, I believe that turkey would come right around and strutted and maybe tried to beat up my decoy. But I mean, he could see the decoys. He was charging in on the decoys already. He could see them. I noticed when he locked in on them, but it wasn't until he got right there. He had a lot of trees covering the blind. When he got right there, it was really evident the blind was in his view then, and not the decoys so much, you know. And he just busted off the blind. I thought he left. I thought he was gone. It kind of aggravated me and kind of threw me in kill mode. Even though I really want them turkeys to get in on the decoys for good footage, but I just flipped the switch into super kill mode and went after the kill. And fortunately, these decoys just made him hang around just long enough where I was able to execute things to perfection. You can put that pin with these big mechanicals right on top of their back, and they'll hit and open and gash them pretty good. And that one obviously got gashed. He had his front end running, but he didn't have his rear end. He was just dragging himself in two-wheel drive, and he just couldn't go like that. He got bogged down there. I put the super speed on him. I didn't know I could run that fast anymore. I made it out there and back in 4 second flat. But thank goodness for the decoys, or he wouldn't have hung around, that turkey. I'm going to make it an extra effort to execute brushing in the blind. I'm going to show you how close and how long turkeys will stay around these Cherokee Sports decoys when the combination of decoys and blind is not together. I think that's the combination that really sets these turkeys on edge more so than anything, is that combination of when I brush that blind in the way I brushed in, where a thief couldn't find it. You're going to start to see some top pin shots. I'm going to start letting them dwell on the decoys, beat them up, rip holes in them, peck them, and do whatever they want to with them. And then I'm going to execute the shot. I'm going to show y'all what these Cherokee Sports decoys will do. And I'm not against using DSDs or anything else. I'm going to probably own me one next year, or some real good decoy, Montana, Dakota, whatever. But we're gonna do it right the rest of the season with these Cherokee Sports, and worry about next year. Ooh, what a hunt.